So I think in between if you have got disconnected in between, so apologies. But again, I hope we are starting on the same point again here. So after this aim and objective of pharmacovigilance, if you are clear, then we are into this regulation. Important piece of information that we come across is the regulation, because there are different stakeholders we call accessors, or for a simple understanding, it's accessor of the particular medicine. So it ranges from it starts from research, it starts from the pharmaceutical industry, distributors, retailers, medical representative, physicians, pharmacists, the end user, again definitely patient. So all these are accessing the particular or these medicines or products, and but they are subject to use it basis the instructions that are on the particular usage, and these particular factor is being governed by the labeling, and these labeling instructions and the laws which come and adherence to these instructions and uses is being looked at and being monitored and being this particular discipline is ensured by the channels of the established regulations. And this is there are some important names of the regulatory agencies like we have below into the on the screen. So there are certain important governing bodies like we have WHO, ICH. Along with that we have US FDA for United States, then EMA into European Medicines Agency, that is for European Union, PMDA for Japan, then CDSU of course for our country India, then Canada, Health Canada for Canada, then MedSafe for New Zealand, TGA for the Australia. So there are plenty of such we can see, but as an example, I could mention some of the important ones, which is there, and important regulatory functions which come across. So basis this, because there are certain necessary mandatory documentation which is in compliance with the expected mandatory or which are mandatory aspects of the approval, that if we provide that if a manufacturer provide that information, they are subject to approval. If it is fitting, if it is complying, if it is satisfying the demand of that particular information, they will get into approval. So they will, if something is so that is a green signal in short, and hold if something is not correct. If it is approvable but it requires some correction, so it will be put on hold until you clarify that particular observations, and once those are corrected, then it can be moved further for the approval. Refusal is something that is not acceptable, which is not in the agreement what we have expected or promised. And withdrawal, even if it is approved and it is marketed, but on the further observation it claims a certain danger or a kind of it wants a kind of usage or danger of or wants a danger or creates a alarming situation, then it subjects to withdrawal even after the post approvals. Then warnings are a term which you will find in inspections. So we'll once the visit or a particular planned inspection comes across for any manufacturers, if there are certain non-adherence, non-compliances, violations, there are certain unapproved deviations which comes in observations, they will be provided with the warnings upon which they need to have corrective actions to perform, and then there will be kind of so it will be termed as a disciplinary action. So these all are there. Then again, the last one would be reapproval process. So reapproval is something we need to reevaluate even after something is under the discussion or something revision of any particular development. It can subject to reapproval, but these are all the possibilities where there are things which are happening. So it is basis evaluation and inspection of an image and parties involved. So we are moving to the next one. So we are understanding here the next term as So as per WHO definition, we are going to look at the definition of pharmacovigilance. The pharmacovigilance is defined as the science and it is the science and activities relating to the detection, assessment, and understanding and prevention. So understanding. So I'm trying to so highlight this particular 4 as an important aspect here. So detection. So 4 important aspects are detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of the particular of adverse events and any other drug related problem. So pharmacovigilance word is a combination of 2 words, pharmaco and vigilance, so drug or medicine, to watch, keep awake and alert. So basically detection is to spot, locate the adverse event which is which is locate an unexpected or undesired particular occurrence of any particular situation. And so detection and assessment. So assessment, it range from a non-serious, which can range from a non-serious event to a serious event. And serious, so serious in the serious range, it can because we need to understand some important criteria to define any adverse event as a serious. We have death, life, hospitalization or prolongation of hospitalization, disability, permanent disability or persistent incapacity. Then we have congenital anomaly or birth defect as one of the another criteria. Then we have important medical event and congenital anomaly and important medical event. So anything fitting to these criteria would be termed as a serious. So death, very simple. Outcome of the situation would be the death. Life-threatening, of course, it has a full potential to get converted into. It has a full potential to get converted into. So get it. So this particular assessment. So hospitalization, anything which situation which demands a hospitalization because certain facilities like hospital care and certain observations, certain critical monitoring on the like we have to have lab investigation, certain diagnostic procedures, nursing support. So this will demand hospitalization as the important support which we have. And then we will go into another one important criteria, that is disability. So disability is where we actually have some permanent disability or income or persistent incapacity, where we will lose the normal functioning which was existing before and we come into a permanent damage. Okay, and that is how it looks at. Example is to understand, one of the example I would give is a blindness. Somebody was fantastically having a vision before, and due to certain any situation which comes across, he's losing his vision or she's losing his vision. So it's a permanent disability that comes across, and that is how we look at it. In congenital anomaly or birth defect. Congenital anomaly or birth defect is the problem which comes since the birth, and there is no control. There is no situation like in disability that there was something good before and it is turning now bad, or it is not. It was well before and it is not. It is turning into a problem now. This is not a situation. While coming to the existence on the existence on the earth, the baby comes itself with that particular problem, and there was no situation where she was, or that particular he or she was kind of having a better life before. So it was this problem comes by the birth itself, and it is called as a congenital anomaly or birth defect. Then something is important called as an important medical event. So important medical event, I will give a simple example. This actually, it's a situation which jeopardizes or demands the medical or surgical intervention. Basically a certain situation, like example I will give you a blood pressure. Suppose if you have a blood pressure and there is a rise in the blood pressure, now you are uncomfortable, you are dealing with a kind of a problem and you are uneasy, and you visit a simply to a clinic, and doctors checks your blood pressure, gives you advice to take rest and be at your home and be away from certain stress factors, and the blood pressure was too high in the morning, and after some medications and advice, and in the evening you come across a better relief, and then you come across a situation where now it is being settled down, now it is normal. But at the moment, if you would have not treated that particular blood pressure and visited that particular event and monitored with that particular advice, you would be having a potential to get converted into any of the seriousness criteria. So this is also one of the important concepts that will come across one of the seriousness criteria under the assessment of it. Understanding is why these particular what is the correlation between this happening or adverse event or adverse drug reaction, and how it is connected to the suspect drug under the discussion, and what are the conditions which can lead to this particular situation. So basically we do a causal analysis here. Who is the trigger behind this? So we try to establish a medical understanding, clinical understanding here, and after that we also do, if we come across certain conclusion, then we define our usage and we prevent it from particular and that particular information also can be used from a prevention prophylactic purpose also. So this is this is the important segment of pharmacovigilance that is defined here in this particular slide. So we will move to the next one. So so we will be discussing the next slide. So the next one is so certain important things here in the context of the PV. What you can understand is the most common terms that revolves around the PV is individual case safety report, which is a single report which talks about the patient, identifiable patient, reporter, identifiable reporter, adverse event, and so identifiable patient, adverse event, identifiable reporter, and suspect drug are mandatory valid criteria components which comprises this individual case report. Adverse event that we discussed just now, adverse drug reaction, so we will see the difference here also, how it is being. So there the only difference between two is the differentiating factor is the causal establishment of a causal relationship. Then identifiable patient, there must be a patient who must be able to identify, locate existence of that patient. Identifiable reporter, definitely who is defining. So basically whether it is what is the identity of that reporter, whether it's a medical confirmed consumer. So many factors can come into it. Suspect drug, the drug which is under the discussion is looked at as a suspect because we are accountable for identifying the establishment or relationship of the existing issue with our drug in the discussion, because we are owning that, manufacturing that drug, so it would come under the suspect drug. It can have the suspect drug can be in the report for the different manufacturers also. But this is important term that you will come across. Concomitant drug and historical drug, this is also one of the term that you will come across. So concomitant is something which is running parallelly the consumption which was happening prior to the suspect drug, during and after the suspect drug, likely to continue after the along with the suspect drug also. So this is something the concomitant drug concept will come. Historical drug is something which is taken exclusively before the start of our suspect drug. Causal relationship, it's a simple causal relationship is whether the occurrence of this adverse event or adverse drug reaction, any relation which is existing with the drug in the discussion, because the structural activity relationship, the confounding factors and plenty of certain factors which can have a contribution to the existing issue or that particular top or adverse event in the discussion, and that is what is in the evaluation that requires a clinical judgment, where we call it as a medical review. So it undergoes a medical review which talks about it. So causality assessment is something, if it is, there are different scales, there are different techniques involved into the causality assessment, where the role of a medical experts come into picture, and that is how we come across whether that has a role, yes or no. Then confounding factors. So we have medical history. So we have a relevant history. We have a concomitant diseases. We have laboratory investigations in the past. There are historical drugs in the past. There are situations like there are some surgeries in the past. So risk factors which are there. So there are risk factor, example, smoking or something. Family history is there. So many things can stand as a confounding factor. Confounding factor is a factor which is, if there is a possibility that it can contribute, it has a possibility that it can have a, so genetic diseases, so it can run through the entire family. So there are certain things which we can have a clinical judgment. It looks like, because we need to have establishment of the existing adverse event or adverse reaction, and how it is being either it is because of our suspect drug or because of the confounding factors. This is the important evaluation that the medical reviewer is doing here. Medical history is definitely with the prior to the clinical conditions or diseases or which are existing prior to the start of our suspect drug would be termed as a medical history. Laboratory details, simple or a complete blood count, urine analysis, and plenty of X-rays. We have plenty of such things which we are performing on into our plenty of evaluation of diseases. So these particular details would stand as important evidence on particular factors that denotes any particular abnormalities, and that is how it is. If they are significant, if they are important in the high-low demarcation, then it would be a very valuable into supporting data for the evaluation of these reports. Seriousness criteria that we saw, which range from non-serious to serious, wherein death, life-threatening, hospitality, prolongation of existing hospitalization, disability, permanent disability, then concomitant, then congenital anomaly or birth defect, and important medical event. So clock start date is the date where day 0, where first information comes to anybody who is dealing with that particular report. So we have a certain timelines, time frames which are defined and under the regulations, under the compliance agreements, even the contractual guidelines, and we follow that guidelines because it needs to be treated on the urgent basis if it is having an urgent requirement. So serious things definitely would require an urgent attention, non-serious would be after that. So simple, to track that particular journey, we need to have a clock start date. Then we have something called as narrative. So entire story which has been reported, okay, the reporter has a full liberty to express his thoughts or his feeling, his expressions into that particular description. But again, as a manufacturer, this is an ability to look at this report scientifically and again on his own vision, and to put it in a constructive sequential manner to create a sense, because our audience is this, our audience would be the regulatory who need to understand this in a systematic sequential manner and in a happenings manner, and how it makes a good way to review it. And this is how entire story writing would happen here, and that is how you would be expert into. So that requires some English communication skills, that requires some understanding behind the norms, conventions, and later then we have some certain conventions by the manufacturers what we have to follow, and then we proceed further. Then all these activities what we are doing, understanding, applying, analyzing, reviewing, that all you do in an atmosphere what is called as a client maybe PV database, pharmacovigilance database. It's a simple application. You are URL based. You have a credential and login. You pass in. You have password. You log in into the particular database. You have a complete fields on the database opened which are applicable to enter, and then you start working on it. So simple, the certain databases which we are going to look in the upcoming table also. So seriousness criteria, then reporting time frames that we have also discussed, and there are plenty of. This is not a list which is a final one. I'm giving you, trying to give you a gist of understanding, the simple possible understanding where minimum words that you can come across, encountered, a feeling of that particular pharmacovigilance structure that might help you. So PV databases. So as I mentioned, there are certain PV databases. There is a VG based, a WHO's global individual case safety report database, Argus J. Then there are certain customer proprietary databases also which are there. So whenever you go, there is a whatever manufacturer they are having their own databases, you will be able to operate out of it. So basically, it's a systematic data entry what you do of the information that you have received in a source document, and you provide it to the next level of the happening, or next level of the proceeding of it. So what are the headings that you fill in a database which accommodate the initial and follow-up information? Because initial information is the first time report of that particular patient. Follow-up is the follow-up of that initial information which keeps on giving the updates on that particular report simply. So what are the tabs that we, or what are the headings that we come across is the patient, medical history of patient, reporter information, drug device, vaccines details, adverse event, activity log, date tab, in case of death of a patient, pregnancy, additional information. And then we have laboratory information. So this is also we have distribution and submission information. So some important activities what you do is a workflow manager. Basically, it's a workload management that you have a incoming and outgoing. So is a reconciliation. What is coming in is the volume. What I'm doing. So is it at the end of the business day whether I'm doing my job, yes or no? Complete. So important is not to do accurate, it need to be complete as well. So case assignment, that is what, again, accountability of the inflow and outflow. Case assignment, ICSS assignment basically to use individual users, individual case owners that we assign the cases. Triage is something to take care of the traffic. Traffic is of ICSRs, the volume of the work. We need to, because there are non-serious, other serious, and death and life-threatening cases. It comes in a one bundle, and we have to clear this traffic of non-serious, serious, and death and life-threatening. Basically, also there are some terms like expedited and non-expedited. So expedited cases need to be taken at the earliest or on an urgent basis, and the next one would be non-expedited. So this concept of expedited, non-expedited are being a part of the technicality. And basically, the important is to clear the traffic of the workflow and to reach out the urgent one on the high priority. Data entry is simply you have information in front of you, enter the relevant information, and this is again significant word in the pharmacovigilance, relevant. So you have to have a relevant information that you are filling in. Then whatever you have done, somebody need to check it, because a doer cannot be a checker, because once he does or she does that entry, he or she feels it's I'm going to be correct. So somebody needs to fill it and needs to actually evaluate in and confirm that whether that particular task was done up to the expectation and accuracy. Then corrections are suggested in the review. If something comes up, you have to correct and give it back to the closure. The medical and clinical judgment, plenty of places medical judgment is required, clinical judgment is required, because complexity, the complexity of the description, the gravity of the clinical terms at a level of a B.Pharm graduate or maybe at alternate medicine, it might happen, not all the cases, but it might happen that you need to take some support on the advices on coding of any particular event, or just taking the whether it is significant, insignificant information on all the aspects of the particular diseases. So this is also one of the aspects that is covered here in activity. Medical review. So this is a medical review after we have an entire field, which are filled from first step to the last step. The important important evaluation the medical reviewer is doing in basis the evaluating the causal association between the reported adverse events and the drug in the discussion, and along with the existing confounding factors. So whichever is the causal relationship, that statement they would put in the medical review, and it will go further for the next reporting and submissions. So after all, which we close and we call as a complete case processing, and then we close that particular case from the database, which travels to the further regulatories and as per the applicable pathways in the systematic pathways as per the decided business rules. What is important in this all scenarios is the strict compliance, adherence. What are the parameters that you have to adhere to, understand, and discipline you have to develop? Is the regulatory compliance, because we are giving them the guarantee that we are ensuring the traffic of non-expedited and expedited cases. So urgency we understand, and we will stick to that particular traffic rules, and that is what the regulatory compliance is. And the format, the content, the accuracy, the integrity of the report, all the way it is going to play important role. MAH conventions, marketing authorization holder conventions. Every marketing authorization holder has some kind of conventions what we have to follow. Standard operating procedure, working instructions, guidance documents. This is also the important flow of the document which we have to understand and follow. At times we come across certain kind of brainstormings, out of which we come across some best practices. So we have to adhere to the best practices. If we are adopting it, if we are approving it, we have to adopt it, and we have to sincerely follow it till the end. This is also one of the compliance which we can need to understand. Audit observations, because we are following some XYZ procedure before this inspection, and after the inspection they decided you have to follow the ABC instead of XYZ procedure. So after these observations, these particular observations also need to be followed as a compliance factor. Of course, whatever you receive on these regulations, information, convention, it is originating out of some definite training and updates, and this is also one of the factors where you have to be compliant about. So in short, if you have this particular thing, and while moving through this entire story, the important tools in the database which helps you to get into this understanding is the METRA, Medical Dictionary for the Regulatory Activities, and the Drug Dictionary. METRA is helping you to have a kind of expression which is reported by a simple consumer, and he's having the full liberty to express his thought. Example, I'm giving you simple example. I'm dying without my medication. So he's not actually dying. It is not a serious case here that he's dying because he's not reporting his dying. So it's not the layman can think of that he's reporting something about dying, but not. It is actually it's about drug dose omission. That particular drug is not available, and that is why he is badly needed it, and that is how that drug is getting omitted in the consumption. And this is how these opportunities are available into coding of our medical dictionary for the regulatory activities, and which is across the industries. It is followed, healthcare industry and pharmaceutical industries and clinical research organizations. Everywhere it is being across followed. So it allows a uniform and uniformly accepted terminologies across the regulations, and this is the important aspect of a PV that everyone should understand. So I hope this is the aura of PV, what you have to be aware of. This is what you should be knowing about, and that is how our first slide I quoting that it is interesting, lively. It is going to be fantastic journey if you come across this lively atmosphere. And with this discussion, we will move for the further slide here, and some basic. So what is the learning that we are getting, and how it is interesting? Let us look at. So there are certain two important aspects. Example is adverse event and adverse drug reaction. It is to define adverse event, it is any untoward medical occurrence in a patient or a clinical investigation subject administered with a pharmaceutical product, and which does not necessarily to have a causal relationship with this statement. Synonym: adverse experience, adverse event. Causality may or may not be related. Adverse drug reaction, a response to the drug. So if in the adverse event it was a medical occurrence, in the adverse drug reaction it is a response. For a response there must be something incorrect. A response to a drug which is noxious and unintended, and which occurs at doses normally used in man for the prophylaxis, diagnosis or therapy of disease, or for the modifications of physiological function. Synonym: adverse drug reaction, side effect, suspected adverse drug reaction. Causality always related. So there is some causality. There is an establishment of causality, either yes or no, but there is a causal relationship which cannot be ruled out. It is always be there. So this is something which we need to understand. So likewise, there are plenty of concepts, plenty of topics which we can have a understanding to develop. So like above example, there are plenty of opportunities to establish, explore, brainstorm, and brainstorm the complex or critical terms, discussion, scenarios on many such concepts, and develop logical reasoning, interpretation abilities, independent decision making. Because I'm particularly looking at this slide, you have to look at is because can we deal with a patient safety ranging somewhere we are 95% accurate or 96% accurate? Absolutely not. We have to be 100% accurate. So in that context, if we do so which is independent decision making, which is a crucial demand in the industry. So this is where everyone industry is looking at. So we cannot compromise in this particular complex at even 1% here and there. So we have to be 100% accurate, and for that matter, we have to take out the dependency on the medical experts. We have to be as good as possible and as excellent as possible. So if we learn into this particular atmosphere, you become independent, you're capable of taking own decisions. And this is how a demand of industry is, and this is how you will develop into this context. So this is also, that's why I said it's a constant learning and growth, how we look at. So some technicality we are looking at the pharmacovigilance as a function. So there are plenty of people, there are plenty of structures involved. So people, doctors, pharmacists, healthcare professionals. So so we have manufacturers which are also there. So they keep on reporting the reporting the adverse events, adverse effects. Then we get that data particularly in the form of a source document. We have data collection, initial analysis we do. Then we have people who deal with it like medical specialists, clinical pharmacists, pharmacovigilance center, safety adverse committee. So there are regulatory and industrial officials, regulatory authority and industrial services. So there is a flow of warning, risk management, protocol, product. So all this data collection and initial analysis that helps to create a warning, the risk management, allows the management of the risk, and they are able to create the warnings, product recall. If something is alarming, we are in position to recall that particular product. So basically, in all, if the technicality takes care of the prevention of the medicine related problem, reduced morbidity and mortality. So this is a simple understanding what comes out of as the output of entire efforts that you put in. So what are the people and what are functions and structures? How are they? So people, reporters, doctor, pharmacists, nurses, other healthcare team members. Then we have consumers. Then reporting, detection, and they are going to report report suspected side effects, adverse events, quality concerns, errors. So many things they are going to. So everything which is in the definition of adverse event, they are going to report us. Then manufacturers, hospitals, they are also going to send us. Then what is happening? So there are plenty of data which is coming in the source documents. They are collecting the data, collating the data, conducting the initial analysis. Then we are definitely, as per the flow which we have seen, causality analysis, risk determination, establish the causality and determine if the further epidemiologic studies are required to establish the association. Then after all, this evaluation is done by medical specialists under the medical review activity, clinical pharmacologist, pharmacist, epidemiologist, pharmacovigilance centers are dealing with this in the sharing of this information. So drug therapeutic committee, safety advisory committees. So there are plenty of roles in the looking at this information and reviewing this information, basis which there is effective decision making which is happening in the order to get into and taking an appropriate action, package insert amendments. So whatever in package insert which we have, if we have a revised information, we can revise that information for optimum use and make aware of the alarming information, and so that the designated people only can, or designated patient can only make use of it. So that is a better use of the drug that we make available of. Then package insert amendment warning, scheduling the changes, risk management, market withdrawal, product recall is the scope here we can look at. So regulatory authority, industry, who is taking this disciplinary actions, approval, that is what we have seen in the previous slides also. Health services, professional groups, advisory committees, they are also playing a big role into this, because there is a constant exchange of the pharmaceutical healthcare industry with the regulation, because they exchange their experiences, problems, their area of improvisations, their limitations, everything comes up in a common. So that's why the plenty of conferences take place, and there are plenty of opportunities to share their experiences, and that is how they come with a consensus and develop a kind of strategy behind it. So prevented medicine related problems, reduce the morbidity and mortality. So an extension to this particular, this is where you will start in the first few years and getting into the ICSR handling and develop your expertise, and then you can move further in the further dimensions of this PV. So individual case report that we have saw, individual case report is an adverse event report for an individual patient, and is a source in the data in the pharmacovigilance. So basically, that's what we as a identifiable patient, adverse event, identifiable reporter, and suspect drug. It's a if we have these four components, then it is kind of a valid report that we have, and it might be having a single, or it might be in a group report, it can come, but it's a way where it's a format where we receive this particular report, and there are different technicalities behind it. So next would be the aggregate data analysis. It's a periodic review. So it's a review accumulative of safety data from the medicinal products obtained from a wide range of the sources on a periodic basis, and submitted the findings to regulators worldwide. Because these particular, so in the clinical trial, under the uncontrolled, in the controlled environment, in the clinical trial, in control, which are happening in the controlled environment, there is a limited there are certain limitations on emerging of the safety information. But once it comes to the market, which is an uncontrolled environment, there is a larger possibility that we can have a new information, and that is why we need to still monitor it on a periodic basis. And this is under the heading of what we call as a periodic review. Then we have a certain, we have also seen in the previous slide, but signal detection, we will look again onto this particular slide. Signal detection refers to a process that aims to find any indication of an unexpected drug safety problem, which may be either new ADR or a change of the frequency of the adverse drug reactions that are already known to be associated with the drugs involved. So important, so it's a very demanding field right now, but it needs some exposure and experience in your ICSR processing. Then we have a risk management plan. A risk management plan is a document that describes the current knowledge about the safety and efficacy information on the plans for studies and other activities to understand about the safety and efficacy of the medicine. So risk management plan is to better control on the use of the medicine, so understand the benefit as well as the effective use of the medicine, so as we stay away from the side effects which are known. And that is how we this is another important functions or aspect of additional aspect of this, which takes care of the management of it's one of the important dimensions of a pharmacovigilance. They are integrally so these all are important functions that we can get into a role about, and there are different role titles into this section. So this is a possibility where you can create your career here. So we travel in a great and long way here, and every single opportunity creates you as a competent healthcare professional contributing to pharmacovigilance as an activity. So let us look at the next one. So pharmacovigilance is a right option, yes or no? Yes, because we have gone through this entire discussion to sensitize the importance of it, the need of it, the fitment of it for you. So it's a right option for you if you are definitely thinking to start with a unique aspects of a career, correct? So anybody is definitely interested in whether I'm in a growing atmosphere, yes or no. So this is a small idea where you can get it. Looking at a simple diagram here, how the growth is moving the global pharmacovigilance, so global growth of the pharmacovigilance market here. So anybody can just have a look at the graph and understand how it is moving from 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, and how it is being expected by the 2017. Some figures and numericals here that everyone is good at math. So I'm not going through kind of details of it, but definitely importantly, you just focus at the CAGR rate, which is 6.4% from 2019 to 2017. So look at the importance and how you match and how is the development that is expected. So now your question is, if I select it, if I take my decision of taking a role into this particular function of pharmacovigilance is a function, what is my role would be? It can be from a starting position like a patient safety associate, you can be into an executive, maybe a team leader, you might be assistant manager, you might be a group leader, or maybe a manager, you might be project manager, you might be delivery manager, you might be a delivery lead, you might be a customer lead, you might be a strategy relationship manager, you might be director, vice president, CEO, every possibility that you can travel its basis, because this is a complete possibility that everyone has. It might happen, somebody might cross 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all ladders, somebody might have into this, but it is a constant, it is a never-ending process. So you have a larger journey to travel. You have a larger journey to travel. You have to, and along with this, you have to have additional skills, soft skills that you learn in this particular atmosphere, which is a very good opportunity in this atmosphere to learn and grow yourself as an expert. So the very interesting factor to know is what would be my salary in this particular development. So it can range from your 2.16 to 5 lakh per annum. It can reach up to 25 ranging from a 25 to 75 lakhs per annum into these particular the top ladders. So all the possibilities that you can reach in between of any of these ranges. So that's why it is an interesting one also and growing also. So once you accept this as a role, anybody in organization, if you join, they do give you a document called as a job description, which they do an expectation setting of you. What is that? Recording and reporting of adverse reactions received from identifiable reporters, okay, investigator, healthcare professional, consumers, anybody, in the strict compliance to the trainings undergone to address the regulatory requirements conducted by company owning PV business, along with the compliance to the SOP, the work instruction, protocol, best practice, audit findings, etc. Effective communication and correspondence with the internal and external stakeholders in order to address the requirements, in order to gather the reliable information to be incorporated in the report. So if communication must be effective, you must make a clear sense out of it. So it should not create any ambiguity. It should be clear, straightforward communication. Easy. The developing, then next point would be the developing a thorough knowledge of products, process, technology involved in dealing with the content of work. Then handling, archiving, reviewing of the content in source document of ICSR, because it stands as an evidence-based activity. So data entry of all the relevant details readily available into safety database as per the conventions in an accurate manner. Completing periodic safety update reports on drugs and other treatments, writing and reviewing serious or non-serious adverse effect reports and forms for completeness and accuracy, flagging up early alarming information in a timely and quick manner so as to execute the necessary plans, ensuring discipline in maintaining own training files and keeping it up to date and audit inspection. That makes you self-competent because you are auditable, you are inspectionable, because every single individual like process and technology is under the scope of inspection. Active participation and support in tasks assigned by supervisor in order to meet the team goals. Ensure needful in terms of the audit and inspection preparedness as per the instructions. Root cause analysis and corrective and preventive actions in case of any observations or findings demanding explanation, because there is something which is not correct, so you need to explain it and have to prevent it in the future. Similar kind of expectation settings would be done in the job description, which will be signed by a role player of that activity. And as he or she declare his or her understanding and commitment about it, because we are going to be a healthcare professional, so we have some commitments toward it, and that is why we are binded toward the job. So what are the opportunities for the pharmacovigilance professionals here? So candidates trained in the PV can find excellent employment options in the following organizations. So pharmaceutical companies, basically multinational companies and Indian companies, because we are in the Indian context. So Indian companies are also having this particular opportunities, multinational companies, biotechnology companies, contract research organizations, clinical research organizations, regulatory authorities, pharmacovigilance units in the medical colleges and hospitals, key service providers, KPO, BPO sectors. We have plenty of like TCS, Accenture, Cognizant, Cyformix, Corporation, iGate, which is anybody is looking at definitely and would be love to join. And there are plenty of, these are examples, but there are plenty of such names which you can think of. Besides this, I think below is the list where you can go and have. This is a simple list of it, but there are plenty of such things which you can come across. And I would say when you go through this particular details or visiting this particular video, spare some time on reading the titles of this. They're like Asian Clinical Trials, then we have Dr. Reddy's Lab, Zydus, Biosur, Cliniminds, Intas Pharmaceutical, Cleantech International, Cliniminds, then we have Lupin Limited, GlaxoSmithKline, iGate Clinical Research, Johnson & Johnson, Lambda Therapeutic Research, Matrix Laboratories Limited, Novartis, Roche India, Novo Nordisk, Pfizer, Pharmanet, Quintiles, Lifesciences, Ranbaxy, Ristek, then Sirocin Pharma, Synchron, then Sanofi Aventis, Torrent Pharma, Vimta Labs, LMB, Asian Clinical Trials, and it's not a complete. You can have plenty of such names in your list, but again, this is a wonderful opportunity, of course. So how you are going to be, after knowing this everything, how you can be a fitment to these expectations? This is interesting topic, because we have plenty of updates, certification, courses, so many demands on you to be up to date on this. So what happens is, industry has a keen expectation. Whenever you join, there is a small learning curve. Learning curve is the time taken you to understand, execute the understandings, and develop a competency on a error-free task. And this particular competency, they provide you some training. And if our learning curve in that particular understanding is too big, the learning curve takes longer time and execution takes more time. So it definitely takes more time on their productivity and impact on their businesses. So their expectation is, if they get ready-made a kind of a provision where these competencies are inbuilt, and you become a ready kind of which is ready to join atmosphere where the learning curve can be minimum, and you can be effectively starting the day work from maybe from within 1 month of time, and there is a very less time on taking on rework and correcting the mistakes and grooming you. They will be more than happy to recruit you. And this particular provision you can do at a one-stop solution at a Cliniminds, where we will have a provision of experts which will take you through this all technicalities, the similar sessions what we have conducted right now, the detail, every single fragment of the pharmacovigilance topic, regulations, technicalities we'll be speaking, and that will make you a competent healthcare professional and to serve the noble cause of the patient safety, and to make you as a right candidate and a good stand in the industry, and to take your this particular professional career on a good note. So wishing you all the very best by finishing this particular presentation, and wish you all the best, and looking forward for your queries, comments on this particular video. And if you have something specific queries or something, there are details of Cliniminds Mumbai, and contact details, email address, the site details which are here, and particular prospects which are also available. So these I request you everyone to visit this particular details and contact and inquire if you have any decision that you have made post this particular discussion, and looking forward for the same, and wish you all the very, very best. Thank you, all of you. Have a good day. Bye. हुआ क्या? हुआ?
लास्ट नाइट तो